Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the November 4th, 2021 meeting of the Property Committee Property Committee. I guess a meeting 3 times in that sentence. Good to have all of you here. Let's see, members Wachinsky, Rogel, Woolrab, and Barnett are present. All right, moving on to number 2 after roll call consent agenda. Entertain a motion from the committee to approve that. Motion by member Wachinsky, second. Second by member Rogel. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Any appearance by members of the public today?
Chairman Barnett, no, we do not.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, departmental matters. Mr. Doherty, welcome. Good to have you here as always.
Thank you, Chairman.
See, we have little business to take care of. I believe we've seen this agreement before.
You should have, yes, several times. This one is reduced from last year due to the fact that the video cameras for JDC, we installed our own system last year, IT did. So that's the only ingredient that's missing. Everything else is the standard agreements, and their price increase is 4% over last year.
Okay. Before we take questions or have discussions, let's officially get it on the floor. Any a motion for approval from member Wachinsky, second? Second by member Rogel. Any questions or discussions on the matter? No? Okay. All those in favor of approving item 4A, 1A, request approval of the renewal of a service agreement with Johnson Controls for the fire alarm systems in McLean County buildings, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right. Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Doherty, you have a couple items you would want to highlight in your monthly report.
But the only thing I've got that's really earth-shattering is we did repack a fire pump seal at the health department, and we've had 2 generator breakdowns here recently. One of them is at the detention center. That's a radiator leaking. We're going to get that radiator replaced so we don't experience any downtime or rental expenses. And then the generator at 911 center, we had a problem with the circuit board on the transfer switch, and it's also due for new motor starter batteries, and we're going to get that taken care of too.
I saw you're still waiting for your new truck.
Yes, we are. I don't know if anybody's guessed what year it might be. We ordered a 2021, and we've been told we'll get a 2022. So
If you hold out, might get a 2023. You know?
we might.
All right. Any questions from the committee for Mr. Doherty? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right, moving on, Mr. Steffa, Parks and Recreation. No items for action this evening.
No, I just have the monthly report. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The only real highlight that stands out is we're getting really close to doing the sewage treatment plant project, so I'm getting excited and nervous about that all at once. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Vice Chair Woolrab.
So thank you very much. So this is almost a question of a sort of personal nature. We went up to the park the other night, well, last weekend, to see if we could see the solar flare, the northern lights. Of course, we didn't see them, but when we got up to one of the little side pull-offs where you can, park and get near the lake. On the way up there, up Rop Road, and I noticed the sign there, that it was closed and everything. So now that I read, when I read what you have in here, that the whole park is closed, I wonder, was that area where we were, was that also closed, that little parking area? And it was at night too. I mean, people don't hunt at night, correct?
Yeah, There's just certain areas closed right now. It's not the whole park during our bow season. It's like less than half of the areas are closed. During our shotgun portion of the deer management is when we close everything. But sections are closed even at night. And the bow season will end, I believe it's next Tuesday, the 11th. That sound right? Yeah.
So that was for bow season, and then the shotgun firearm season is yet to come up, I see, so. And where is the notice posted? Like, if I would be driving that same way up Rock Road, would there be a big sign say, don't come in here unless you're
There'll
doing
be signs posted in a lot of places. We do get permission to close part of Rock Road down. We also post that on social media and the website.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever driven up there during those particular periods, so.
And my
didn't
lovely
encounter it.
phone message, my phone greeting, if you like to listen to that.
Well, congratulations on the successful Fall Colors event that you had. That's quite a crowd that you had come out for that.
It was very large this year. It was too wet to do the haunted trail where we normally do, so we had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So we did.
Very good. Well, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Steffa? Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I would just have one thing.
Please.
Most of you, or if not all of you, don't know these people, but we had a couple. Their names were Ann and Don Craig, and they were campground hosts for us for years, 5 separate years, not all in the row, but a few weeks back they both passed away from COVID, and so I just asked that you would keep their family in your thoughts and prayers if you could, please. I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. All right. Moving item to 4C, Administrator Taylor.
Yes, I have several items to present for action tonight. The first one being C1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the American Rescue Plan Fund. That's found on pages 10 and 11. And this is in response to an unexpected fan failure on the air handler in the 300 wing of the nursing home. We consider this ventilation shutdown an emergency situation, as it is quite imperative to have proper ventilation and airflow, particularly during this time. And so we'd ask that you make those adjustments and that budget amendment.
Motion to approve. Motion by Vice Chair Woolreb, second by Member Wojcinski. Any questions or discussions from the committee? Member O'Gell.
I was just curious, is there somebody, have we already got somebody to do this, or is this done in-house, or how is this?
So yes, we did reach out to a contractor. The maintenance director for the nursing home reached out to the vendor that handles Train, and because of the age of the air handler and the type of air handler, that was the vendor that was able to provide the fixes for it. We did ask Tim Doherty to weigh in and give his opinion on the matter, as we believe that he has expertise in HVAC systems and could weigh in on the fix. And so it was done outside vendor.
Great.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving item 4C 1A signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
Next item up is C1B, This is a request for approval of a contract for refuse collection services with Republic, and that's found on pages 12 through 18. We have a longstanding relationship and a good relationship with Republic, and they have provided the lowest bid for these services.
All right, how about a motion to approve item 4C1B? Motion by member Rogel, second by member Wachinski. Any questions or discussion about this item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving item 1B signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Administrator Taylor, if I may interrupt your agenda for a moment. The committee will turn actually to the next page. There is an item on here underneath items for information, item 2A at the top there. Electricity supply bids for 2022-2024. I'll let Administrator Taylor explain the peculiar way that we have to go about doing this. But if the committee has no objections, I'd like to go ahead and actually talk about that first, because the direction we give staff on that may impact how we want to proceed with the next items in her agenda. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Administrator Taylor, would you mind talking us through the interesting way we have to go about this?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Barnett. So Chairman Barnett is correct that our electric contract for energy supply is different than most of our contracts that we put through to the board. And the main difference is that we cannot lock into a rate or any kind of quote before outside of a 12-hour window. So typically the process is we would come to the oversight committee, which would be this property committee, and then we would approve that at full board. But with the way the energy suppliers do business, it is within a no longer than a 12-hour time period that those rates are effective or available to us. The market is quite volatile and goes up and down quite frequently, even from day to day. And so the process that we have used before and the process that we would propose to use now is that we present to you a preliminary proposal to give you a framework of what the costs are, and then we would come back to you at a stand-up meeting right before the board meeting and show you a secondary proposal of what they are the day before board, and ask your permission to authorize the chairman to execute a contract for those services with the recommended energy supply company the next morning when they open back up for business. And so the difference with this proposal from the last time we secured an energy supplier is that the last time your meeting was at 9 in the morning and we were able to do it the same day. This change would be because our meeting is at 5:30 p.m. We have to do it the next business day, which would require the authorization for the next business day, which would be another final proposal. What I'd like to share with you tonight in anticipation of that stand-up action is to share with you the information that we received from our broker, Vanguard. And when we reached out to him this time, we honored the wishes of this committee to look at renewable energy sources beyond the traditional standard energy. And so we did receive quotes for standard traditional energy suppliers, but we also asked for quotes for the renewable energy or green energy, if you will. And so we did receive, well, we had 8 suppliers that were requested to receive more information. And from those 8, we had 3 that provided all of the requested documentation and pricing in a timely fashion. So based on those 3, we have standard pricing from, let's see, Homefield, Mid-American, and MP2. The standard pricing, the overall is higher than our current contract by 27 to 33% depending on the term. And green energy is higher by 39% to 44% depending on the term. That makes a change. The green pricing is higher than the standard pricing by about 11%. And so that in dollars, that would equate to about 57,000 higher annually for the green energy. The green power MP2 provided the lowest pricing. However, Mid-American provided the second lowest price and offered better terms for other considerations such as solar to be added at a later time. And so based on the overview of our broker, who is working in our best interest, his recommendation is that we go with a 24-month contract instead of a 36, because he believes with the market today, we would be better served with a shorter term contract and looking at those rates again in 2 years. He believes that the price will drop in the future. And then he recommends a 24-month contract with Mid-American and for either standard pricing or green pricing. Some of the other comments that were made with this is that Mid-American, the contract terms, the customer service, and the online platform are superior to the other suppliers quoted, and they meet fully with the RFP requirements. And Mid-American is not the lowest in the 24-month range, but they are only over by $1,100 annually. And they will offer the goal of our green goal of being achieved through solar installations. So if we have solar installed on our properties at a later time, the price offers and the contract structure can be changed to reflect the solar installation to the benefit of McLean County. So those are our recommendations for that, which will be coming with more detailed proposal at stand-up. But I wanted to let you know all of that. If those if those rates change significantly, I will make sure that I reflect that in the stand-up meeting. But as of right now, we have 2 sources that we believe would be a good fit for either green or traditional energy.
Does all that make sense to everyone, sort of the process we have to go through to do that? The reason I wanted Administrator Taylor to take a minute and skip ahead in the agenda and talk through that is because coming up next here, well, I guess it's not item C, it's down here in item D, is our budget for the operations and maintenance agreement with the Public Building Commission. And if I remember right, the way the budget is built right now, it's to cover a more traditional energy source. And if the committee would rather that we pursue a green energy option, there'll probably have to be a bit of a budget adjustment made to that. Is that?
That is correct. If you wanted to go with a green energy source, we would recommend adding approximately $57,000 to the facilities budget for O&M costs to cover that energy.
Does that make sense? All right, well, let's take a minute and have some chat if we could about the item for information that's just been presented. Any thoughts at all from the committee? Oh, yeah, please.
Sure, thank you very much, both of you. that is a significant amount higher, but I think I will say that, as we all know in recent news, the importance of reducing carbon footprints every place and everybody, I think, has to play a part in that, including governments and the county. So and in light of a decision made last night at finance to reduce another part of our piece that would impact our tax rate and actually I think would help, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think help keep things more on an even without having to drastically increase the tax rate if we increase the electric costs. I think maybe that could be a balance there.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
I just wanted to say that, I'm really happy that we are taking into consideration the green energy and, we've talked about that quite a bit in this committee and other committees and, I'm really excited to see us kind of leading on that and, I think it's pretty exciting and to have that option is just, I'm really happy about that.
Member Rogal, would you like to join the party?
Yeah, I'll comment as well. Yeah, I think, McLean County has kind of been at the forefront of this in Illinois, at least for the last few years, and it's going to be that way continuing going forward. Rivian and whoever else might be coming in over the next few years, as well as other people that are planning wind and solar throughout the county. I guess my being the newbie here, so if we were to install solar on our buildings, how does that work with the contract? I understand, is that, does Mid-America, whoever own that? Do we own it? Do we sell then, I know the basics, do we then sell the energy on the market like you do with your residential and then get credit or whatever back, and then that would defer off of our bill with Mid-America, or do they own it and manage it during our contract as part of the overall?
So that was a conversation we did have with the broker, and there are several different ways that you can structure a solar platform. And so with the Mid-America contract, there is the ability to have renewable energy credits. You can also do net metering, where you reduce your bill in that manner. So that would depend on how we wanted to structure the contract, which would be secondary to this contract. Because it would depend a lot on how we designed the solar install on our buildings. And there are other companies that assist with that and the Solar for All grants that can be obtained. So all of that would kind of have to fit together. But yes, there are several options.
And then just quickly follow, have we looked into some of the community block grants that are available now through the state for help with funding on some of that?
On the solar projects?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. We have been in communication with a local solar company whose name escapes me right now, but they assisted us in getting a designation, a site designation for the downtown area to be eligible for grants for solar, and that those grants become available once a year, and that will happen in the spring. And so once this contract is decided, that would be the next step in working with energy, would be to look into the solar credits and see what we could do with Solar for All. Straight up solar, that's what I call it.
Thank you. Anything else in your item for information?
Not for this one, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
So before we go on to the next one, it sounds like the consensus of the committee is that would prefer that staff would pursue a green option. I think I'm hearing that correctly from everyone. Okay, everyone's heads are nodding back and forth.
Okay.
So knowing that, before we go in and start approving these next items within the budget, is there a particular line that we need to make sure that we,
So, yes, so the item in question, if we want to make that addition to the facilities budget, would be in item D4, the Law and Justice Building.
okay,
Now, typically, we would divide those expenses across all of our programs and facilities, but since this is an amendment, we would propose to put this on the L&J budget, L&J Building Department program budget, and we can make those adjustments at a later time if necessary, but the L&J is the greatest user of energy in all of our buildings, and so we thought it appropriate to put it there.
sure.
So we could move forward with C1C, which is the lease agreements and would not be impacted by this
Okay.
change.
All right, let's do that, and we'll get to that in a second. All right, well, for those who are new to the committee, the next thing that are on here, this is just like our regular annual budget that we, that we went through last month. These are normal things that we approve every year that have to do with how it is that we go about running the buildings that we have and our relationship with the Public Building Commission, which we do that. So, Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to?
No, I think you summed that up very well. This is just the PBC leases that we have through our Public Building Commission and the relationships we have with each of those buildings. Those are the costs for those leases.
Okay. All right, well, I would entertain a motion to approve. Is there any objection from council from taking C-1 and C-2 together? Okay, all right. Entertain a motion to approve item 4C, 1C, including both C-1 and C-2. Member Wachinski, a second. Second by Member Rogel. Any questions or discussions from the committee? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Next up is C1D.
So I would like to double check with my Assistant County Administrator, Kathy Dreyer, to make sure what line we would be putting this in for the adjustment that we had recently discussed. The 57,000 would be in D4, but could you point out the specific line that would come from?
We would need to add 57,000 to the general property tax line. And then 57,000 to the PBC reimbursement.
I'm sorry, Kathy, and 57,000 to which second line?
The PBC reimbursement.
Thank you.
But then we'll also need to amend the facilities maintenance budget for that building too at a stand-up before county board.
We can do that later, can we?
We could effectuate that change at the stand-up when we're addressing these other issues.
Okay.
Do you need the new totals?
Yes, please.
Thank you for your patience while we make sure that we do this correctly.
The new total for each line is $2,016,277.
mm,
Oh, shoot. You're right, sorry. Okay, the correct total now is $2,136,088.
thank you, Ms. Dryer. Does anyone need to hear that again? Okay.
All right, well, before we get to the motion, Administrator Taylor, is there anything you'd like to talk us through in item D?
So item D covers the O&M budget for our juvenile detention program, the courthouse program, which is our museum, our natural history museum, our animal control program, the Law and Justice Center, including the new jail annex, as well as the government center building that we are in right now. That O&M budget would include all of the costs needed for facilities and maintenance of our buildings, and that is worked through an O&M fund through the Public Building Commission.
Any, well, let's do this first. All right, I'll see if I can read this through once, so we can get it right the first time. I would entertain a motion from the floor to approve item 4C, 1D, but would amend it to show in D-4 that the general property tax line would increase by $57,000 and the PBC reimbursement line would increase by $57,000 to bring a total for each line, a new total, to $2,186,088. I'm sorry, $2,136,088. Okay, all right. Motion by member Wachinski, second? Second by member Ogal. All right, any questions or discussions about this part of the budget? All right, all those in favor of approving item 4C1D as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Thank you all. Administrator Taylor, I think you have a couple other items for information to share with us.
I do. In our section for items to be presented for information, I'm skipping down to 2B, the third quarter budget update. That is your quarterly report for both the Facilities Maintenance Department for the third quarter of 2021, as well as the third quarter for the Parks and Rec Department, which is on page 32. We are on track with our facilities maintenance budget. The budget was $4,057,860, and our actual so far this year is $2,983,101. And the pie graphs there show you what the budgeted versus the actual are for each of those different categories. On the Parks and Rec budget, you'll see much the same. The Parks and Rec total budget is 631,238, and their actual so far this year is $434,452. We will see some more expenditures at the end of this year. Have been a couple of pieces of equipment that we are expecting to come through. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions about the quarterly budget update? Vice Chair Woolrab?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When you say there'll be some changes, or is that both departments were expecting some additional costs?
I was referring to the Parks and Rec budget. I know that there were a couple of mowers that Mr. Steffa has indicated he would like to still purchase within this year and was able to find a good pricing through our government pricing program.
So then in the facilities budget, it looks like we're currently $1 million lower than budgeted in our actual. Do we have plans to spend that additional $1 million and some?
We still have several projects underway, and I do expect that there will be some significant invoices coming through in the fourth quarter.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay.
Next on your agenda, we have 2C, which says Memorial Plaque, and I would like to expound on that a little bit. This is being presented for information because this is not actually our memorial plaque, but something that is in conjunction with our other municipalities that we share a partnership. We were approached by the Downtown Bloomington Association to request permission for a memorial plaque on one of the park benches that sit in the old courthouse square right outside of the museum. So upon further investigation, it was determined that the benches were actually installed and placed there by the city, and they are on the section of sidewalk that is very close to the museum. And so all of the municipalities involved have expressed joined interest in allowing this plaque to be placed on their park bench, and it would be for Barb Atkins. Many of you may know Barb Atkins. I did not have the pleasure of knowing her, but I have a statement to read on her behalf for the work that she has done. So the memorial plaque would be in honor of a leader who passed away on November 7th of 2020. Barbara Jean Atkins served the city of Bloomington for 32 years, beginning as a part-time police dispatcher and then completing her career as a deputy city manager. Following that, she managed at the museum the Cruising with Lincoln on 66 Visitor Center and worked for the County Museum of History. She was 61 when she passed. She was very proud of her Illinois State University degree in criminal justice, and she helped with many community campaigns. She helped to initiate the Not in Our Town movement locally. She served on the Bloomington Housing Authority Board and was also active in the NAACP and the Central Illinois chapter of the Lynx, an international service organization. As a city employee, Barb was instrumental in supporting the Human Relations Commission, the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Luncheon, and numerous programs to assist city residents and to support human rights. And so for that reason, they have asked to honor her with a plaque.
Very appropriate.
Next on items for information, I have a 2D, which is in reference to our animal control repair bids. At your stand-up on before the board meeting this month, there will be 3 things to consider. So the first will be the budget amendment that we just enacted in relation to the facilities budget. The second will be the energy supply bids that are coming through, and the third will be the animal control repair bids. At a previous meeting, Tim Doherty shared with you the extensive need for those repairs. However, the quotes that we received exceeded our procurement policy amounts, and so we had to reach out for a formal bid. Those bids will come in on November 8th, and we do not want to delay that project any more than it has already had to be delayed, and would request that we bring that to you on a stand-up if possible.
Any objections from the committee?
And that is all that I have for information. Thank you. Oh,
Okay, anything else?
would also like to add that, as you know, the city of Bloomington has joined us in the use of this space, and they have made some temporary changes to the dais, as you can see and have seen for the last couple of months. But they will be working to create a more permanent solution to that and have seating for 11 spaces on the dais. They are currently going out for RFP for that project. And I will be working in conjunction with Billy Tyus from the city. He has been very generous in sharing plans, and we have been communicating regularly on the needs of the city and the needs of the county with the shared use of this space. As we move forward, we will absolutely be cognizant of the needs in this room for continuing business, but our hope is that after it is completed in its final form, that we will be able to have the committee sit at the dais in whole and also be able to see each other while we also are able to see the equipment. And so staff would be able to be facing the full committee and not have to be doing revolving chairs like we do now. So that is in the works.
That is exciting news. All right, any other business or communication to come before the committee? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you for your service to the county.